The stars looked the same in every direction, cold, distant, and silent. Fleet Admiral Zephyrian stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the endless darkness through the crystal viewport. His 12 ships moved through space like ghosts, their crystal hulls catching the light of distant suns. The 47th Expeditionary Fleet had been traveling for 3 months. Their mission was simple: find new worlds, study them, add them to the coalition. It was work they had done 1,000 times before. The galaxy was full of young species who needed guidance. The coalition brought order to chaos. They brought peace to war. Zephyrian's skin was pale blue, almost white. His eyes were large and black, adapted for the dim light of his homeworld. Like all members of his species, he was tall and thin. His uniform was made of the finest materials. Silver threads ran through the fabric, showing his high rank. "Admiral," came a voice from behind him. It was Commander Veltar, his second in command. "We have found something interesting." Zephyrian turned. Veltar held a datapad in his 4-fingered hands. The screen showed star charts and energy readings. "What have you discovered?" Zephyrian asked. "A system, Admiral. 12 planets, one of them in the habitable zone. The world shows signs of life. Primitive life, but life nonetheless." Zephyrian walked to the command console. The main screen showed the star system they were approaching. A yellow star, much like the one that warmed his own homeworld. Around it, planets spun in their ancient dance. "Show me the third planet," he ordered. The screen changed. A blue and green world appeared. Clouds swirled across its surface. Zephyrian could see land masses and oceans. It was beautiful. It was also inhabited. "What stage of development?" he asked. Veltar touched his datapad. New information appeared on the main screen. "Early space age, Admiral. They have satellites around their planet. We detected radio signals. Basic chemical rockets. Nothing that could threaten us," Zephyrian nodded. This was normal. Most species they found were at this level. Young, curious, but not yet dangerous. The coalition had protocols for such situations. Study the species, learn their culture, then make contact. Usually the young species was grateful to join the galactic community. "Any signs of aggression?" Zephyrian asked. "Some, Admiral. They seem to fight among themselves. Our long-range sensors show multiple governments. Different languages. Some conflict between nations. This was also normal. Young species often fought with themselves before they learned to work together. The coalition would help them past this stage. They would bring unity to the divided world." "Admiral," another voice called out. It was Lieutenant Kexron from the sensor station. "I am detecting something unusual." Zephyrian walked over to the sensor station. The young lieutenant looked worried. His green skin had turned a lighter shade, a sign of stress among his kind. "What is it, Lieutenant?" "A ship, Admiral. In the outer system, near the asteroid belt. It does not match any design in our database." The main screen changed again. Now it showed a single vessel floating in space. Zephyrian stared at it for a long moment. The ship was unlike anything he had ever seen. It was huge, larger than his own flagship. But where coalition ships were elegant and smooth, this vessel was rough and angular. It looked like it had been carved from a single piece of metal. Dark gray armor covered its hull. Strange weapons protruded from every surface. Could it belong to the inhabitants of the planet? Veltar asked. "Impossible," Zephyrian replied. "Our scans show they barely have chemical rockets. This ship shows technology far beyond their current level." The bridge fell silent. Every member of the crew stared at the strange vessel. It sat motionless in space, like a predator waiting for prey. Could it be from another coalition fleet? Lieutenant Kexron suggested. Zephyrian shook his head. "No coalition ship looks like that. Our vessels are beautiful. This thing is ugly, brutal." He walked back to his command chair. The coalition had rules about unknown vessels. First, try to communicate. Learn who they were and what they wanted. If they proved hostile, the coalition fleet was more than capable of defending itself. "Communications," he ordered. "Try to contact the unknown vessel." "Yes, Admiral," came the reply from the communications station. Several minutes passed. Then the communications officer shook his head. "No response, Admiral. Either they cannot hear us or they choose not to answer." Zephyrian considered his options. The strange ship could be a threat to the primitive world below. It could also be a threat to his fleet. But 12 coalition vessels against one unknown ship? The odds were clearly in his favor. "Tactical analysis," he ordered. Lieutenant Nexavan, the tactical officer, worked at his station. "The vessel is approximately 2 kilometers long, Admiral. Our scans show heavy armor, multiple weapon systems, though we cannot identify their type. Power output is strange. Strange how? It seems too low, Admiral. For a ship that size, we would expect much higher energy readings. Either their technology is very different from ours, or what, Lieutenant? Or the ship is running on minimal power. Perhaps it is damaged. Or perhaps it is trying to hide. Zephyrian thought about this. A damaged ship would explain why it had not responded to their communications. But a ship trying to hide suggested something more dangerous. Admiral, Commander Veltar said quietly, perhaps we should establish a perimeter around the system. Study the situation before making contact. It was good advice. Veltar was always careful, always thinking. That was why Zephyrian trusted him. Agreed, Zephyrian said. All ships take positions around the system. Maintain distance from the unknown vessel. Begin deep scans of the primitive world. I want to know everything about these people before we make contact. The coalition fleet spread out like a net. Each ship took a position that would give them the best view of the system. They were in no hurry. They had time to study and learn. But as the hours passed, Zephyrian felt a growing unease. The strange ship had not moved. It had not responded to any of their signals. It simply waited, dark and silent in the cold of space. Something was wrong. He could feel it in his bones. In all his years of service and all the worlds the coalition had visited, he had never seen a ship like this one. And deep in his mind, a small voice whispered a warning. What if this species was different? What if they were not like the others? What if they were dangerous? Captain June sat in his command chair on the bridge of the battleship Defiant. The ship was quiet around him. Only the soft hum of the engines and the gentle beeping of instruments broke the silence. His crew worked at their stations with practiced efficiency. They had been together for 2 years now. They knew each other well. June was 35 years old. His black hair was cut short in military style. His uniform was dark blue with silver stripes on the sleeves. He had kind eyes, but they could turn hard when needed. He had seen combat before. All human officers had. Captain, called Lieutenant Una from the tactical station. Long-range sensors are picking up multiple contacts. June turned to look at her. Una was 28, with long black hair tied back in a tight bun. She was the best tactical officer in the fleet. Her fingers moved across her console like a pianist playing a familiar song. How many contacts? June asked. 12 ships, sir. Coming in from Galactic North. Formation suggests military vessels. The bridge became more alert. Every crew member turned to listen. First contact with alien life was something humans had dreamed about for centuries. But first contact with alien military ships was a different matter entirely. Size and classification? June asked. Una studied her screens. Largest vessel is about 1 kilometer long. The others are smaller. Design is unlike anything in our database. They move with some kind of gravity drive, very smooth acceleration. Commander Wu looked up from the engineering station. He was older than the others, 42 years old with gray starting to show in his hair. He had built engines and weapons for 20 years. Captain, should I power up our main systems? He asked. Not yet, June replied. Let's see what they want first. He turned to the communication station. Hana, are you picking up any transmissions? Lieutenant Hana shook her head. She was the youngest officer on the bridge, only 24. But she spoke 12 human languages and understood computer code better than anyone. Nothing directed at us, Captain, but I am detecting communications between their ships. The language is completely unknown. I am running it through the translation programs now. June nodded. The Defiant had been on patrol for 6 months. Their mission was to test new defensive systems and train the crew. They were far from Earth, in the outer reaches of the solar system. If these aliens had hostile intentions, the Defiant was Earth's first line of defense. Una, what's our tactical situation? He asked. We are in the asteroid belt, sir. Lots of cover if we need it. The alien ships are maintaining a loose formation. They seem to be scanning the system. Scanning for what? Unknown, sir. But their sensors are very active. They are looking at everything. The planets, the asteroids, even us. June thought about this. Earth's first contact protocols were clear. Try to communicate, show peaceful intentions, but also be ready to defend human space if necessary. Hana, broadcast standard first contact signals, mathematical sequences, prime numbers, peaceful greetings. Send it on multiple frequencies. Yes, sir. The next few minutes felt like hours. The alien ships continued their approach. They moved with a grace that human ships could not match. Their hulls seemed to shimmer in the starlight. They were beautiful, but that did not make them friendly. "Captain," Hana said suddenly, "I am receiving a response. Put it through the translators." The bridge speakers crackled. Then a voice spoke. The words were alien, but the translation program converted them to English. "Unknown vessel. You are in violation of Coalition space. Surrender immediately and prepare to be boarded. Your primitive world will be evaluated for inclusion in the Coalition. Resistance is futile." The bridge went silent. Every crew member stared at the speakers. The message was clear. These aliens considered humans to be primitive. They wanted Earth to surrender. "Well," Commander Wu said quietly, "that could have gone better." June almost smiled. Wu always found humor in dangerous situations. It helped keep the crew calm. "Hana, send a response. Tell them this is human space. We claim sovereignty over this entire system. We are willing to talk, but we will not surrender." "Captain," Yuna interrupted. "The alien ships are changing formation. They are positioning themselves around the system." "What kind of formation?" "Blockade pattern, sir. They are trying to surround us." June felt his chest tighten. This was not going well. 12 alien ships against one human vessel. The odds were not good. But the Defiant was not an ordinary ship. It was a battleship. It was built for one purpose, to fight and win. "Wu, how are our systems?" he asked. "All green, Captain. Weapons are ready, shields are up, engines are warm. We can fight or we can run. Can we take 12 ships?" Wu considered this. "Depends on their technology, sir. Our weapons are designed to punch through heavy armor. Our shields are designed to stop energy weapons. But we don't know what they have." Another message came through the speakers. This time the alien voice sounded angry. "You will surrender now. We have given you a chance for peaceful integration. Do not force us to use violence. Your species is primitive. You cannot win against the Coalition." June stood up from his chair. He walked to the main view screen. In the distance, he could see the alien ships. They were getting closer. Their formation was tightening like a noose. "Hana, open a channel." "Channel open, sir." June spoke clearly and slowly. "This is Captain June of the Earth battleship Defiant. You have entered human space without permission. You have threatened our homeworld. We will give you one chance to leave peacefully. If you do not leave, we will consider your presence an act of war." He paused, then added, "We may be primitive by your standards, but we know how to fight. Leave now or face the consequences." The response came quickly. The alien voice was cold and angry. "You dare to threaten the Coalition? You pilot a single primitive vessel against 12 advanced warships. Your arrogance will be your destruction. We will destroy your ship as an example to your world. Prepare to die." June looked around the bridge. His crew was ready. They had trained for this moment. Every human had grown up knowing that someday they might have to fight for their world. "All hands, this is the captain," he announced over the ship's intercom. "We are about to engage hostile alien forces. Our mission is to protect Earth and show these aliens that humans are not easy prey." Battle stations. Alarms sounded throughout the ship. Red lights flashed. The Defiant came alive like a sleeping predator opening its eyes. "Yuna, target their lead ship," June ordered. "Target acquired, sir." "Wu, give me everything we have." "All systems at maximum, Captain. We are ready." June sat back down in his command chair. He gripped the armrest tightly. The next few minutes would determine the fate of humanity. "Let's show them what humans can do," he said quietly. The battle was about to begin. Fleet Admiral Zephyrian stared at the main screen in disbelief. The primitive ship had just threatened him. Him, a Coalition admiral with 300 years of service. The arrogance was beyond understanding. "Admiral," Commander Veltar said quietly, "perhaps we should reconsider our approach. The humans seem more aggressive than most species we encounter." Zephyrian turned to his second-in-command. Veltar's skin had turned a pale green, a sign of nervousness among his people. But Zephyrian felt only anger. "They pilot one ship against 12, he said coldly. "They threaten the Coalition itself. This cannot be allowed to stand." He walked to the tactical station. Lieutenant Nexvan looked up at him with wide black eyes. "Admiral, their ship is still running on low power. Our scanners show minimal energy output from their weapon systems." "Then they are either very confident or very stupid," Zephyrian replied. "Order 3 interceptors to approach their vessel. When they are in range, destroy it. Make it quick and clean. The people on the planet below must see what happens to those who oppose the Coalition." "Yes, Admiral." 3 of the smallest Coalition ships broke away from the main fleet. They were sleek and fast, shaped like silver arrows. Their crystal hulls glowed with internal energy. Each interceptor was armed with disintegration beams that could cut through any known armor. Zephyrian watched them approach the human vessel. The primitive ship sat motionless in space. It looked dark and dead. Perhaps they had lost nerve. Perhaps they were trying to surrender. Interceptor 1 to flagship, came a voice over the communications. We are in attack range. The human vessel is not responding to our approach. Destroy them, Zephyrian ordered. Understood, Admiral. Charging weapons now. The 3 interceptors took attack formation. Their weapons began to glow with deadly energy. In moments, the human ship would be nothing but expanding gas and metal fragments. But then something impossible happened. The human ship moved. Not the gentle acceleration of coalition technology, but a violent burst of speed that seemed to ignore the laws of physics. One moment it was drifting slowly through space. The next moment it was racing toward the interceptors like an angry animal. What in the void? Zephyrian breathed. Suddenly the human ship came alive. Weapon ports opened all across its hull like deadly flowers blooming. Small turrets popped up from hidden positions. The dark gray armor plating shifted and rearranged itself to reveal massive gun barrels. Admiral, Lieutenant Nexavon shouted. Energy spike from the human vessel. Massive power increase. The human ship opened fire. What happened next would haunt Zephyrian's dreams for the rest of his life. The primitive vessel did not use energy weapons like civilized species. Instead, it fired solid projectiles. Thousands of them, each one moving at incredible speed. The interceptor's shields were designed to stop energy beams and plasma bolts. They were not designed to stop chunks of metal moving at significant fractions of light speed. The projectiles tore through the energy barriers like they were made of paper. Interceptor 3 exploded instantly. Its crystal hull shattered into a million pieces. The fragments glowed white-hot as they scattered across space. Interceptor 2 tried to turn away, but the human ship tracked it easily. More projectiles hammered into its hull. The beautiful crystal structure cracked and broke apart. Atmosphere vented from a dozen holes. The ship spun out of control, its crew screaming over the radio. Interceptor 1 managed to fire one shot. Its disintegration beam struck the human vessel directly. For a moment, Zephyrian thought they had succeeded. But when the energy faded, the human ship was still there, scarred but intact. Then the human ship fired something different, a single large projectile that glowed with its own energy. It struck Interceptor 1 dead center. The explosion was so bright that the main screen automatically dimmed to protect their eyes. When the light faded, there was nothing left of Interceptor 1 but a slowly expanding cloud of plasma. The bridge of Zephyrian's flagship was silent. Every crew member stared at the tactical display in shock. 3 coalition interceptors destroyed in less than 30 seconds. By one primitive ship, Admiral, Commander Veltar whispered. What kind of weapons are those? Before Zephyrian could answer, Lieutenant Kexran called out from the sensor station. Admiral, the human ship is moving again. It's coming toward us. On the main screen, the human vessel turned toward the main coalition fleet. It no longer looked dark and dead. Energy coursed through its hull like glowing veins. Weapon ports remained open like hungry mouths. It moved with predatory grace, hunting for its next victim. All ships attack formation, Zephyrian ordered. Concentrate fire on the human vessel. The remaining coalition ships moved into position. 9 warships against 1, but somehow Zephyrian no longer felt confident about the odds. Sir, Lieutenant Nexavon reported, the human ship is accelerating. Speed is impossible, Admiral. They should not be able to move that fast without crushing their crew. Lock weapons on target. Targeting systems are having difficulty, sir. Their acceleration is too erratic. They keep changing direction. Zephyrian watched the human ship dance through space. It moved like nothing he had ever seen. Coalition ships were elegant and graceful. This thing moved like a wild animal. Unpredictable, dangerous. Fire, he commanded. 9 coalition warships opened fire at once. Energy beams and plasma bolts filled the space around the human vessel. Surely nothing could survive such a barrage. But the human ship kept moving. Some shots missed entirely as it changed direction at the last second. Others struck its hull, leaving glowing scars on the dark armor. But it did not stop. It did not slow down. It fired back. This time the humans used different weapons, larger projectiles that moved even faster. They struck the coalition ships with tremendous force. Shield generators overloaded and failed. Hull plating buckled and cracked. The Coalition cruiser Eternal Peace took a direct hit. The projectile punched through its crystal hull and exploded inside. The beautiful ship broke apart in slow motion, its pieces tumbling through space. Impossible, Zephyrian breathed. How can they be so powerful? Commander Veltar was studying his tactical display with growing horror. Admiral, I am analyzing their weapon signatures. These are not energy weapons. They are firing solid metal at incredibly high speeds. But the velocities we are detecting should be impossible. How fast? Nearly 10% of light speed, sir. The kinetic energy alone is greater than our largest plasma cannons. Another Coalition ship, the destroyer Swift Current, tried to flank the human vessel. It was a mistake. The human ship spun around like it had eyes in the back of its head. A stream of smaller projectiles tore into the destroyer's engine section. Secondary explosions ripped through the ship's hull. All ships retreat to safe distance, Zephyrian ordered. Maintain weapons lock but do not close range. The surviving Coalition ships pulled back, but the human vessel did not pursue them. Instead, it stopped in the middle of the debris field it had created, floating among the wreckage of Coalition ships like a predator among its kills. Zephyrian's hands shook as he gripped his command chair. In 300 years of service, he had never seen anything like this. Coalition technology was the most advanced in the galaxy. Their ships were superior to every species they had encountered, but this primitive human vessel had destroyed 4 of his ships in minutes. 4 ships carrying over 2,000 crew members. Gone. Admiral, Commander Veltar said quietly. We should contact High Command. They need to know about this. Zephyrian nodded slowly. But what would he tell them? That a single primitive ship had shattered his fleet? That humans were not the weak species they appeared to be? That perhaps the Coalition had finally found something it could not easily defeat? The human ship sat motionless in space, waiting, watching, ready for whatever came next. And for the first time in his long life, Fleet Admiral Zephyrian felt afraid. Captain June watched the alien fleet pull back to a safer distance. The bridge of the Defiant was calm despite the destruction they had just caused. His crew worked with quiet efficiency, checking systems and preparing for the next phase of battle. Damage report, June ordered. Commander Wu looked up from his engineering console. Minor hull scoring from their energy weapons, Captain. Armor held perfectly. All systems operating at full capacity. Casualties? None, sir. Their weapons couldn't penetrate our armor. June nodded. The Defiant had been built using lessons learned from centuries of human warfare. Every plate of armor, every weapon system, every defensive measure had been tested in the fires of conflict. Earth's children did not build ships for exploration or diplomacy. They built them to survive and kill. Yuna, status of the alien fleet? Lieutenant Yuna studied her tactical display. 4 enemy vessels destroyed, Captain. 8 remaining. They have pulled back to approximately 50,000 kilometers and are maintaining position. Are they calling for reinforcements? Unknown, sir. Lieutenant Hana is monitoring their communications. Hana looked up from her station. They are definitely communicating with each other, Captain. The translation program is getting better at understanding their language. They seem confused, sir. Confused how? They keep talking about impossible technology and primitive species. Their fleet commander is demanding explanations from his crew about how we destroyed their ships so easily. June almost smiled. The aliens had made the same mistake that many of Earth's enemies had made throughout history. They had assumed that primitive meant weak. They had confused technology with capability. Humans had learned long ago that it was not the most advanced weapon that won battles. It was the weapon that could kill the enemy while keeping its user alive. Simple, brutal, effective, Captain, Yuna interrupted. The alien ships are moving again. They are forming a new attack formation. How many? All 8 remaining vessels, sir. They appear to be concentrating their firepower for a coordinated assault. June stood up from his command chair. The aliens had seen what the Defiant could do with its point defense systems and kinetic weapons. Now they would see what a human battleship could really do when it went to full combat power. All hands, this is the captain, he announced over the ship's intercom. We are about to engage the remaining alien forces. These beings came to our system with the intention of enslaving our world. They threatened our families and our children. We will show them the price of threatening humanity. All stations prepare for full combat operations. Throughout the ship, the crew responded with practiced precision. Weapon systems that had been running on standby power came online with a deep humming sound. Armor plates shifted to reveal weapon ports that had remained hidden during the first engagement. The Defiant transformed from a warship into something far more deadly. "Woo, transfer all auxiliary power to weapons," June ordered. "Aye, sir. Weapons at 150% normal capacity. Una, target all enemy vessels. Prepare to fire everything we have. All targets locked, Captain. We have firing solutions on all 8 ships." The alien fleet was approaching in a tight formation. Their crystal hulls glowed with energy as they charged their weapons. They moved with the confidence of a species that had conquered 1,000 worlds. They had no idea what was about to hit them. "Captain," Hana said suddenly, "I am receiving a transmission from the alien flagship. Put it through." The bridge speakers crackled, then an alien voice spoke. The words were translated into English by the computer. "Human vessel, this is Fleet Admiral Zephyrian of the Galactic Coalition. We offer you one final chance to surrender. Our remaining ships have more than enough firepower to destroy you. Do not force us to annihilate your primitive vessel." June walked to the communications station. "Open a channel, Hana." "Channel open, sir." June spoke clearly and calmly. "Admiral Zephyrian, this is Captain June. I want you to listen very carefully to what I'm about to tell you. You came to our system uninvited. You threatened our world. You attacked our ship. Now you will learn why humans have survived every war we have ever fought." He paused, then continued. "We are not primitive, Admiral. We are something much more dangerous. We are a species that has spent 10,000 years learning how to kill each other. Every weapon we build, every ship we design, every tactic we use comes from that experience. You think your technology makes you superior, but technology is just tools. What matters is how you use them." Another pause. "You wanted to see what humans can do, very well. Watch and learn." June nodded to Una. Fire. The Defiant unleashed hell. Missile tubes opened across the ship's hull. Hundreds of nuclear-tipped projectiles streaked toward the alien fleet. Each missile was guided by artificial intelligence that could think faster than any living being. Each one carried enough explosive power to level a city. At the same time, the ship's main railguns fired. Massive electromagnetic launchers hurled tungsten slugs at tremendous velocity. The projectiles moved so fast they appeared as lines of light stretching across space. The aliens tried to respond. Their energy weapons fired in desperation, trying to stop the incoming barrage. Some missiles exploded short of their targets, but there were too many. Far too many. The first nuclear explosions lit up space like miniature suns. Coalition shields flared and failed under the overwhelming assault. Then the railgun projectiles arrived, punching through hulls that had been weakened by the nuclear blasts. 3 alien ships died in the first 10 seconds. The remaining 5 scattered, trying to escape the killing field. But the Defiant was not finished. Secondary weapon systems came online. Laser arrays designed to shoot down incoming missiles turned their deadly beams on the fleeing ships. Particle cannons that could slice through asteroid rock focused their fire on alien engines. "Target the flagship," June ordered. "I want Admiral Zephyrian to see this up close." The Defiant's most powerful weapon had not yet fired. Hidden in the ship's forward section was a mass driver that could accelerate a projectile to nearly 20% of light speed. The tungsten penetrator it fired weighed several tons and carried the kinetic energy of a nuclear bomb. "Firing main gun," Una announced. The projectile crossed the distance to the alien flagship in less than 2 seconds. Admiral Zephyrian's shields might as well have been made of tissue paper. The penetrator punched through the crystal hull like it was not even there. The alien flagship broke apart in slow motion. Beautiful crystal structures cracked and shattered. Atmosphere vented into space in glowing streams. The ship that had once carried a proud coalition admiral became a cloud of debris tumbling through the void. "Remaining alien vessels are retreating, Captain," Una reported. 3 ships running at maximum speed. "Let them go," June said quietly. "They have a message to deliver." Commander Wu looked up from his station. "Sir, should we pursue? We could destroy all of them before they escape the system." June shook his head. "No. I want them to tell their coalition about what happened here. I want them to spread the word about what humans can do." He walked back to his command chair and sat down. Around him, his crew began shutting down weapon systems and returning the ship to normal operations. The battle was over. 8 alien warships had been destroyed. 3 had escaped to tell the tale. Hana, any other alien ships in the system? He asked. Negative, Captain. Long-range sensors show the 3 survivors jumping to hyperspace. They are gone. Good. Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them we have made first contact with a hostile alien species called the Coalition. Tell them the immediate threat has been neutralized, but they should prepare for possible retaliation. Yes, sir. June looked at the main screen. Space around the Defiant was filled with the wreckage of alien ships. Pieces of crystal hull tumbled slowly through the darkness, catching the light of distant stars. The aliens had come expecting to find a primitive species that would surrender without a fight. Instead, they had found humanity. And humanity had shown them what thousands of years of warfare could create. The galaxy was about to learn that Earth's children were not prey. They were predators, and they were very, very good at what they did. Commander Veltar stood alone on the bridge of the Coalition cruiser Divine Purpose. Around him, the few surviving crew members worked in silence. Their faces were pale with shock. Their hands shook as they operated their instruments. He was the highest-ranking officer left alive. Admiral Zephyrian was dead, his flagship destroyed by a single shot from the human vessel. 8 Coalition warships had been annihilated in less than 20 minutes by one primitive ship. Commander, the communications officer called out. His voice was barely above a whisper. High Command is requesting an immediate report. Veltar looked at the holographic display in front of him. The face of Grand Admiral Nexthul appeared, his ancient features stern with authority. Behind him stood other members of the Coalition High Council. They were waiting for an explanation. Commander Veltar, Grand Admiral Nexthul said, report your status immediately. We have lost contact with Admiral Zephyrian's fleet. Veltar took a deep breath. How could he explain what had happened? How could he make them understand? Grand Admiral, he began slowly. Admiral Zephyrian's fleet has been destroyed. We encountered a species unlike any in our database. The High Council members looked at each other with confusion. Grand Admiral Nexthul frowned. Destroyed? By whom? What species could destroy 12 Coalition vessels? Humans, sir. They call themselves humans. They inhabit the 3rd planet of the system we were investigating. Humans, Nexthul repeated. We have no record of this species. Are they part of another galactic empire?
What is their level of technology?
Veltar felt his throat tighten. Sir, according to our initial scans, they are barely capable of interplanetary flight. Chemical rockets, primitive satellites. They should not have posed any threat to our forces. Then how did they destroy Admiral Zephyrian's fleet? They do not fight like other species, Grand Admiral. Their technology is different. Brutal. Their single ship destroyed 8 of our vessels with weapons we do not understand. The hologram flickered as the signal crossed the vast distance between stars. When it stabilized, Grand Admiral Nexthul looked angry. You are telling me that a primitive species with crude technology defeated our most advanced warships? That is impossible, Commander. I know how it sounds, sir, but I witnessed it with my own eyes. Their ship. It was not like anything we have ever encountered. It was built for one purpose, to kill. Veltar activated a datapad and uploaded the sensor recordings from the battle. I am transmitting all sensor data from the engagement, Grand Admiral. You will see what we faced. The High Council members watched in silence as the recordings played. They saw the human ship emerge from hiding. They watched it destroy the interceptors with impossible speed and firepower. They witnessed the annihilation of the Coalition fleet. When the recordings ended, the chamber was silent for a long moment. Their weapons, Grand Admiral Nexthul said finally. They fire solid projectiles? Yes, sir. Metal slugs accelerated to enormous velocities. Our shields were designed to stop energy weapons. These kinetic projectiles passed through them like they were not there. And their ship's acceleration? Impossible by our understanding of physics, sir. They should have been crushed by the forces involved. But somehow they survived accelerations that would kill any Coalition crew. Another council member spoke up. Could this be some unknown technology? Perhaps they have developed inertial dampeners beyond our capability? Veltar shook his head. I do not think so, Counselor. I believe they have simply built their ships to withstand forces that would destroy our vessels. They are harder than us, stronger. Grand Admiral Nexthul studied the sensor data with growing concern. Commander, in your opinion, what is the threat level of this species? Veltar thought about Captain June's final transmission. The human captain had let 3 Coalition ships escape, when he could have easily destroyed them all. Why, what did the humans want? Sir, I believe they let us escape deliberately. They wanted us to bring word back to the Coalition. They wanted us to tell you about their capabilities. A warning? Yes, sir. They are telling the Coalition to stay away from their space. The High Council members began talking among themselves in hushed voices. Veltar could hear fragments of their conversation. Impossible firepower. Primitive species. Threat to Coalition expansion. Finally, Grand Admiral Nexthul raised his hand for silence. Commander Veltar, you will proceed immediately to Coalition Central Command. You will brief our military analysts on everything you witnessed. Every detail of human technology and tactics must be studied. Yes, sir. And Commander, place an immediate quarantine order on human space. No Coalition vessel is to approach their system without direct authorization from High Command. The transmission ended. Veltar was alone again with his thoughts and the terrible memories of what he had witnessed. 3 days later, the surviving Coalition ships limped into a Coalition military base. Veltar's report spread quickly through the military hierarchy. Within hours, every Coalition commander in the galaxy had received the same message. Warning: new species designation human, located in Sector 847. Extremely hostile. Advanced kinetic weapons, capable of destroying Coalition vessels with ease. All ships ordered to maintain minimum distance of 10 light-years from human space until further notice. The report created panic among Coalition forces. For the first time in their history, they had encountered a species that could match their firepower. A species that seemed to have no fear of death or defeat. Scientists studied the sensor recordings trying to understand human technology. Military commanders analyzed human tactics looking for weaknesses. Psychologists examined the human communications, attempting to understand their motivation. But the more they learned, the more worried they became. Humans did not build beautiful ships like the Coalition. They built weapons platforms designed to survive and kill. Their vessels were covered in armor that could stop any known weapon. Their engines could accelerate at rates that would crush most organic life forms. Most disturbing of all was their apparent lack of fear. The human captain had faced 12 Coalition warships without hesitation. He had destroyed 8 of them and let the others escape as a message. That suggested a level of confidence that terrified Coalition analysts. They are not explorers, one analyst wrote in his report. They are not traders or diplomats. They are warriors. Their entire civilization appears to be organized around the concept of warfare. Every human ship is a battleship. Every human is a potential soldier. The report concluded with a recommendation that would change the course of galactic history. Under no circumstances should the Coalition attempt to conquer or control human space. These beings have spent their entire evolutionary history learning how to kill. They are apex predators in a way that no Coalition species can understand. Contact should be limited to long-range observation only. Captain June received word of the Coalition's retreat 3 weeks after the battle. Earth's deep space monitoring stations had detected the alien ships jumping to hyperspace and leaving the solar system. They had not returned, sir, Lieutenant Hanna reported. We are receiving radio signals from several directions. Multiple alien civilizations appear to be discussing the events in our system. What are they saying? The translation programs are still working on it, but the general tone seems to be fear, sir. They are afraid of us. June looked out at the stars through the bridge viewport. Somewhere out there, an entire galactic civilization was learning that humanity existed. They were learning that Earth's children were not easy prey. Good, he said quietly. Let them be afraid. Fear will keep them away from our world. Fear will give us time to prepare for whatever comes next. Commander Wu looked up from his station. Captain, Earth Command is requesting that we return home. They want to begin mass production of more ships like the Defiant. Set course for Earth, June ordered. Maximum speed. As the Defiant turned toward home, Captain June thought about the future. The galaxy was vast and full of unknown dangers, but humanity had announced its presence in the strongest possible terms. They had shown the galaxy that Earth's children were not victims waiting to be conquered. They were predators, and they were ready for whatever came next. The age of easy conquest was over. The age of humanity had begun, and across the galaxy alien civilizations would learn to speak a new word with respect and fear. Human,